Before we go on to this week's Tottenham talking points, we've obviously got Kev with us this week. It's his first time on the show, so we've got a few questions to get to know Kev. So I just got to put my little ticker along the bottom here. You ready for this, Kev? Look, you ready? All right, let's go for press the button. Look, White Hart Memory Lane with Kev.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this? Quick fire.
Go.
Do you want to go and find your notes?
No. Come on, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say?
Right, here we go. The questions will pop up on the screen. Why Spurs? How did you become a Spurs fan?
My dad took me to Arsenal when I was about 6. And I didn't like it.
Put you off for life.
No, I was about 6. I lived in North London, the other side of Clissold Park, which is very near the Highbury. And my dad took me to a couple of night games, which is great, but I just didn't like Arsenal. I don't know why. I don't know what it was. And my mates were Spurs supporters, so it was Saturday morning on the bus up to Spurs. You know,
brilliant.
That was it. Simple. Yeah. I suppose it was about 62, 63 when my dad took me. But when I was able to go on my own, it was 1966 was my first game. It was September 1966 when they played Arsenal, and it was 3-1. We beat them 3-1 that day.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
There's a guy, Arthur, who goes on the Irish Hotspurs channel, and he asked him the other day, he said, when you were little, what happened if your mates were Arsenal fans? And he said something like, I used to give him a thump and tell him that. It's brilliant. I should give him a whack in the mouth and tell him to support Tottenham instead. I think you've kind of answered it, Kev, but next question. First home game.
Yeah. First home game was Arsenal 3-1. Second home game was Fulham, and it was 4-3.
Not a bad start, eh?
Yeah.
Who was your first?
Sorry.
Who was your first goal?
My first goal, I can remember.
Yeah. The first goal in the Arsenal game, the first ever one you saw. Who was the first goal scorer? Can you remember?
I think it was Robertson. I think it was Jimmy Robertson. I wouldn't swear to it. Pat Jennings was in goal. I know that much because he was my hero at the time. Me being of Irish extraction. So
whereabouts were you in the ground?
That one, I was up in the enclosure.
Trying to get a good view of Pat.
There's a little pen above, in between the shelf and the Park Lane. There was a small little compound area there, which was the schoolboys area, really. But the Fulham game, the second game, I was on the back of the Paxton Road. Some of it was standing in those days.
Can you imagine if you got a kid like Jens in there, 8 foot fucking tall?
No, I know. I always had that trouble anyway. Yeah, but it was 1 of 6 to get in there in the schoolboys entrance.
Didn't have the peanut man. I used to bring the peanuts round and throw the
Percy
peanuts.
Dalton, he was there. Percy Dalton, he was there. Yeah.
Gazza, what was the name of that guy up the Paxton end with the old chips? He used to spit all over his chips. Can you remember him? Can you remember what he was called? Yeah, the burger man. What did he used to say?
Get your burgers, all the flavours, jumbo.
Get your chips here, salt and vinegar, spit all over your chips and your burgers.
Slime burger.
Yeah.
As to the flavour.
Yeah. That was funny. Next question. Your first away day. Can you remember when you first went to watch Spurs away? Where was it? Any memories?
That would have been Arsenal at Highbury in the Clock End. But the first one outside London, I know for a fact, was Ipswich, Portman Road, about 1972. We lost that day, 2-1. Tony Want scored an own goal for Spurs. I can't remember who scored the other one, but that was the first game away on the train. Went on the football special from Liverpool Street. Yeah, I think it was about 30 bob, 150, something like that. Just
reminded me of a funny story. One of the panel members' ex-girlfriends, there was a boxing event at I think it's a new stadium. It was the Emirates, and they knew that their boyfriend was a big Tottenham fan, and it was a boxing event, I think. And she said to him when she got back, she went to the toilet and she peed all over the floor because it was at Arsenal. Just a sway flavour. Peed all over the floor, all over the seats and stuff.
Yeah, I know someone who's done that as well, but that was on on one of the statues outside.
What's that?
It was on one of the statues outside.
Oh yes, they peed on the statues, did they? What did you say, Gaz?
It was actually somebody's ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. I didn't want to mention it, whose it was, but it's like I peed all over the seat and didn't wash it up, and all over the floor as well.
Yeah, you showed me
you didn't marry her.
No. Can you remember your first Spurs shirt?
Yes, it was before the days of replica shirts.
Yeah.
It was an Umbro green shirt with a sew on Tottenham white square badge with a blue cockerel. Because I was Pat Jennings, Spurs, Ireland. That was me.
Pat's back at the moment, and he's doing some work with the goalkeepers again. He's back, like 78, I think he is, 77, 78, and he's back.
70-something, yeah. Well, Jens probably heard me talking about him, but I lived in Hertford for 20 or 25 years, 26 years, and I always used to see him in Hertford all the time. You used to see him about in the paper shop, everything. I always said hello to him and that. And the guy in the paper shop, the Indian guy, is no longer with us, but he didn't know who he was, and I said, well, after he left the shop, I said, no, that is. He went, no. I told him. And the next time I knew, he had his shop revamped and he got Pat Jennings to open it. So, honestly, I told him who he was. Pat probably got a couple of £100 out of that. I should have been his agent.
A couple of free sweets, bag of crisps and some free sweets. Everyone says what massive hands he's got. I don't know why I'm showing my hands because they're traditionally small. Shovels, shovels, yeah. Was he one of the first ones, Kev, to wear those like gardening gloves, weren't they? He was famous for not wearing gloves, but it was one of the first ones.
Very rarely wore, but then he wore just like,
Has anyone met him in recent times with his fingers all bedraggled, like broken fingers and stuff, or no? You've met him, Jens, haven't you? Yeah, you've met him.
Yeah, I met him, I don't know how many years ago that was, 7 or 8. And we went to Arsenal away. And my mate Jason organised the whole corporate thing. We had dinner beforehand or lunch beforehand, and then we got on the coach with Pat, and then we lost 1-0. And we came out and we were all waiting on the coach. 45 minutes later, Pat ambles along, gets on the coach like, "You're right, lads," and he'd been in with the Arsenal chairman and the board members having a drink, and we're like, "Yeah, mate, we've been waiting here 45 minutes for you."
Can you imagine him? Bollocks, they'll wait for me. Like I'm Pat Jennings. They'll wait for me.
Yeah.
His son, he's got a son called Pat Jennings, actually.
Is he really?
Yeah. And my son played him when they were about 10 years old, and Pat Jennings was a goalkeeper. His son was a goalkeeper as well.
Yeah.
And my son sort of broke from the halfway line as a forward, and Pat Jennings' son ran towards him, and my son's like me, pretty small. And bang, and my son would spark out, and this fella's just like that, just like Pat, but double the width of him, like, and that's Pat's on the other side of the thing, and we're both going like that. Like, I thought my son was gone. I thought it was a hospital job, just he trampled him, like. But he's ended up playing in Northern Ireland, I think, somewhere up that way, for some sort of like semi-pro. He's probably he'd be 40 years old now. He wouldn't be playing anymore now because my oldest son's 41. Yeah.
Goalkeepers can go quite late on in their careers, though, can't they?
Yeah.
We've got a goalkeeper Sunday League who's 45, 46, so maybe Pat Jr. still playing somewhere. If anyone knows, can you put it in the comments section below? Just Google Pat Jr. and let us know if he's still playing, or even better, Pat Jr. if you're watching.
Yeah.
Highly unlikely, but
next
with the time difference to Ireland. If you could go back in time to one famous game in Spurs history, which one would it be? One that you haven't been to before, I should clarify there, Kev.
I haven't been to before. Sorry, you got me there. I don't know. One I didn't go to before.
Let's open it up.
I'd say the Ajax game. The Moura hat-trick, I think.
Yeah. I'll open it up to the other guys as well then, while we're on that question. You boys, is there any famous game in time that you haven't been to that you would like to go back and be there?
What, within our lifespan? Or
any period of the club?
To the title-winning game in 1961, just so I could say I've seen Spurs win the league.
Well, funnily enough, today is the actual anniversary of the double, isn't it? When they won the cup final, the second part of the double. So, good link there. Yeah. Jens, where would you go to?
84 UEFA Cup Final.
Oh yeah, that would be a good one actually, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't you go?
I remember. No, I was 8 years old, mate.
I was in Brussels and I was in both games. Brussels.
Oh, was it? Yeah. I was sent to bed at I think it was 20 minutes before full time, and then I couldn't sleep, but I heard my brother shouting and screaming, and I ran out into the room, and I was like, "What happened?" And he was going, "Yeah." I said, "What happened? And he was going, "Yeah." And I went, "What happened?" And he started crying.
Yeah.
You got any memories of those trips then, Kev? Because obviously we weren't there. It'd be interesting to find out.
It's horrendous out there. Brussels really was a lot of trouble. The police caused it all. Most of it, I should think. One Spurs fan got shot that night, I'm afraid. Killed, shot in the back by a publican. Brian Flanagan, his name was. I'll never forget that. North London. There was trouble, but after that, we were in a pub at 8:00 in the morning after the game, but we weren't drinking all day. It was our base. The coach just dropped us off. We were in the pub all day. We were having meals. The woman was gorgeous. It was a bit like hello, hello. It was a scenario where we were speaking pidgin French and they were speaking pidgin English. You know, and it was brilliant.
Pissed your shop.
Yeah, that was it. And she was making us all these croque monsieurs, or they call them, you know, wet French bread, or Belgian bread. Yeah, and it was all great. And then once after that, after the shooting happened, the police went mad and they told us all to get out of the pub, and the woman said, "No, leave them alone. These have been in here all day. They're really nice. They're spending all a load of money. They're good boys. No problems." And they went away, and about an hour later, they came back, and the front doors of the pub were probably 10 foot tall, and a double doors, and they were each one was about 3 foot wide, so they were big swinging double doors. The police charged them with a battering ram and took them off the hinges for us all out, and we're hitting everyone on the way up to being got us out onto the streets. The woman was crying, saying, "Leave them alone. They're not troublemakers." And we weren't. We were there for the day and to enjoy it. But the actual stadium itself, I can't remember the name of it now. The actual stadium, it was the pits. It was like a sort of it was like the Dog and Duck at Walthamstow. It was rubbish. The terraces were rubbish. They were crumbling. It was bad concrete. It wasn't a nice arena. We should have done better on both games. We should have, we should have won it before the extra time of penalties, I think. But it was just the way I was glad to see us win, but we should have won better. We were better than that. Yeah,
we had a few players missing, didn't we? There, so it's quite a good achievement to win with all the players that we did have out.
Yeah,
Tony Parks.
Yeah.
Well, let's just you live on that forever. It's one of those names were made, you know.
Yeah.
It's joyous because it kept the momentum going, and then sort of the wheels come off after that for a few years. And
Birkinshaw had already said he was leaving, hadn't he, by that stage?
Yeah.
So after the final, that was the first sort of wheel coming off there, wasn't it?
Yeah. We could have done a lot better. 84, 85, 86. We had a really good team with Hoddle still in his prime. Hoddle, we should have won the league, but our home form let it down. It really did. The home form. Losses and draws. If we'd have perked up with that, we'd have won the league. We lost it by about 13 or 14 points at the end to Everton. I was there the night Everton practically won the title near the end of that season.
My friend, he's an Everton season ticket holder, and he said it all came down to one game pretty much. Then it was an evening game between Tottenham and Everton, and he said we should have beaten them. We missed a few chances, and they got away with a draw, or they beat us, didn't they? And
they
went on from there.
What happened was that game that night was actually postponed from January or February, because of the snow. I had tickets in Park Lane that night. I got 2 tickets for a friend of mine for the Saturday for the Saturday game, and it was snow, and it got postponed. And we were on the roll. We were, and sort of like we had that buckle period, and we tripped up and stuttered and everything else. They come down. And I think if we'd have played them on the Saturday, we'd have beaten them and maintained the momentum.
Steve Perryman says that all the games just built up because of the ones that were delayed, that we had to play like every 2 days or something, and we just knackered, weren't we? We lost a bit of zip and energy.
Yeah.
So
that was the year we were up. We won at Liverpool for the first time. I was up there as well at Anfield. Yeah, that was
nice.
I was in the Cop that day. That was good.
Oh yeah. How did that go?
We knew some Liverpool lads. We used to go up there every week. We used to go out for the weekend. We used to go up there on a Friday afternoon on the beer with the lads on the town, the nightclubs in Liverpool, with about 10 of them and 3 or 4 of us. We stay at their houses and then go out all day Saturday night and drive home Sunday. First couple of years we lost up there, and then we won a couple, and it was good. But when Spurs scored, Crook scored in front of the Cop, and my mate and I just stood there and we just froze. We couldn't move, but you could hear a pin drop in the Cop. You could actually and we went to the pub afterwards over the road from the Cop, and it was like the Queen had died, if you know what I mean. It was like no one was speaking. They were stunned. The Scousers were stunned.
you kind of it's death by implication when you're in the away end, isn't it? I remember going to Watford away a couple of years ago, and they scored after about 2 minutes, and like obviously all the Watford fans were going crazy, and I wasn't celebrating, so it took them about 2 minutes to work out that I was a Tottenham fan. It was could feel their eyes boring into the side of my head, and some of the. Watford, the family club, they've got the reputation for being like a friendly. Gosh, some of the things they were saying to the Sun. I won't repeat them on here, but yeah, the family club indeed. Watford went down in my estimation that day, I tell you.
I was never one for wearing colours at football matches, though, so I wasn't that stupid, because.
But again, if you're not wearing colours, they know who you are, don't they? Really?
Well,
the Liverpool stuff on, death by implication. Right, next question. Favourite all-time Spurs player? Bring that back up again.
Hoddle, without doubt.
Yeah.
Glenn Hoddle, yeah, without doubt. Must have seen most of his games. I hardly missed a game of his that he played, home or away. I saw nearly everyone. I hardly missed a game in those days. I was seeing 40, 50 games a season. The only sort of games I weren't seeing were away at Middlesbrough and a midweek game or something like that, or a far-flung European game where I didn't have the money to go midweek. There wasn't cheap flights in those days, or they were behind because if you remember in the early 80s, the Iron Curtain was still in place, so you had West Germany, East Germany. So I went to Munich to see Spurs lose there, but if they played another team behind the curtain, Red Star or one of those, you couldn't go unless you had lots and lots of money, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to see Hoddle a few times. I went to my first game in 1985, so I saw a few games 85, 86, 87 with Hoddle, so I was lucky enough to see him live. You guys, Jens and Gazza, did you see Hoddle play as well?
I never got to see Hoddle. I was there just before Paul Gascoigne left. Managed to see him for a couple of games.
Yeah, saw Gazza play. I was there for Oxford, the 4-1 or 4-2 in the FA Cup. Gazza scored 2 goals, I believe. Yeah, I was there that day. We got to, my mum is a stickler for punctuality, so we got to the ground about 12 o'clock. It was a 3 o'clock kickoff, and when we got to, there's nobody there, nothing happening, and where we were going to our seats, we were in the West Stand, right in the corner there, and as we were going past the ticket office, Gazza was in. We saw Gazza inside the ticket office. He was mucking around and pulling faces and mucking around with the ticket office. Then we went into the stadium early as well because my mum wanted to find us seats. Stickler for punctuation and stuff. It's me and Big Gael actually, Gaz. Jens, you know him as well. So we went in there early, pretty much empty stadium, and we had free reign. We could walk up and down the seats and stuff. So we walked up to look down the tunnel, and we just as we looked down the tunnel, Gazza was in the tunnel. Me and Ali were like, Gazza, and he looked round to us and said, "All right, boys," give us a little wave and stuff. So we had our little moment in the universe with Gazza then as well. But he was pissing around all over the place, just literally in the ticket office, pissing around. Yeah, well, yeah, literally, yeah. He was different gravy. That was the cup run when he was just basically carried us through, didn't he? The younger generation don't realise. I was speaking to a female blogger whose name shall remain. I won't say who she was, but I was going through my favourite all-time Spurs team, and I put Gazza in at the time, and she was like, "Gazza, he was only there maybe 2 or 3 years. How can you put Gazza in your all-time Spurs team?" And I was just like shaking my head, going, "You poor naive fool! You poor naive fool!" Great player. He was one player that could actually turn a game on his own. Could he grab a game?
Yeah.
Was there any sort of any of the previous players, Kev, like in the previous eras that were like that?
Oh, Jimmy Greaves. Like that, yeah.
He could grab a game on his own, could he, and turn a game?
Well, it's all right looking back. You could see some games where he didn't score, but that was just like we were saying earlier about Harry Kane. There's the odd occasion. He wasn't a guaranteed scorer, but he was scoring 9 times out of 10. Well, it wouldn't be 9 times out of 10, but he was a goal scorer. But yeah, I'd say Hoddle, because of what he did, he was a scorer and a goal maker, a goal. You mentioned old Will pinging those balls about on Sunday.
Yeah,
Hoddle would do that 3 or 4 times every game, guaranteed, and there'd be pinpoint accuracy.
It's like he had pitching wedges, wasn't it? He pitching wedges with his left and right foot.
It was just a natural talent, yeah. It's a shame he just couldn't carry it over to management. I think that's one thing he could. I think he was too sort of. He had an arrogance about him. I think he he couldn't relate to players. I think he had to try and outdo them. He was what I felt above them.
Matt Letizia, who's obviously quite a good player himself, which is a bit of an understatement. He said Hoddle used to get frustrated in training, like they were trying to do drills, with corner drills, and he'd be saying to the guys, and I think it was people that were good corner takers as well, Beckham and people like that. I want you to put it in the back post. I want you to put it at the front post. And he used to get frustrated that they couldn't do it, and that's where his man management sort of let him down a bit. He couldn't sort of hide the fact that he was pissed off that he used to walk over there and like not like this, and I'd ping it straight on a sixpence, and he got frustrated that players couldn't do as easily what he could do, kind of thing.
Yeah. Greaves, you see, when I was the age of 10 years old, and that when Greaves was there, we all wanted to be Jimmy Greaves in the local park, but you didn't appreciate football. You appreciate it from a different start. He was a goal scorer then, but then you appreciated a more mature player and watching him play an all-round game, if you know what I mean.
Yes, it's strange, isn't it? Because he never liked football, did he? Which I find odd. He always said I wasn't that bothered. I think he said I enjoyed playing, but I didn't enjoy watching the game, which is, I guess, that's a bit of a caveat.
He was a poacher. That was it. That was his game, So.
Yeah, great player.
Yeah.
Next question: favorite era and team. What was your favorite period of being a Spurs fan and your favorite team?
Well, I might be old, but I'm too young for the double and that. And 67, I enjoyed 71, 72, 73 with the UEFA Cup Final, the 2 League Cups. That was good. I think 81, 82 was that coming of age. I was 25 years old when we won that. And I was going to every game that season. And 82, the final in 81 against City was fantastic. The 82, not so good. It was one of those crap finals that you're just glad of a win. Dragged it out to a replay. Actually, I was rather teed off with the Saturday game for the 81 final because we couldn't go out and celebrate on Saturday night. It was just we got cheated at that. It's like. And when we won on the Thursday night, you couldn't go out for a drink either because it was 10 o'clock at night and you couldn't go out for a drink. We had to sort of delay celebrations, like you'd want to sort of get home on a Saturday night and celebrate with the lads, but it wasn't doable.
Steve Perryman said on his podcast the other day that the first game, it was all pomp and posterity, like they had people coming in saying, right, you're only allowed on the pitch 10 minutes before the game, and, you're not allowed on this part of the ground. You have to stand here, when we, basically it was all things you couldn't do, and they felt really restricted, and they were expected to win, weren't they, the game? And then he said with the Thursday game, the FA was just like, you can have 100 tickets each, they weren't bothered anymore. They'd done their bit for the year, kind of thing. And he said it freed up the players as well. That the freedom that they got from not having to someone like telling them all these rules and regulations and stuff.
I didn't get a ticket for the 81 final. I had to pay on the turnstile and hop over.
Yeah, my dad went to that. I didn't actually know. He told me the other day. He was like, "Yeah, I went to the first game, but he didn't get a ticket for the." Probably blames my mum. I would have. Yeah.
The tickets, I think, $2.50. I think to get in for standing in those days. The going rate was a $5 to the gate man. I gave him a tenner just to make sure. You just go in with someone, you squeeze in with someone else, and once you're inside Wembley, I don't know if you know how it worked. Do you?
Yeah, I went in there a few times.
Yeah.
The old Wembley.
Yeah, with once you're inside, you just swap the ticket with someone. You just come down to go to the toilet, and you come back down and bring down a spare one, and you both go up. And the only thing we did.
The toilets were horrific, weren't they?
Well, the toilets were halfway down on the stairs, weren't they? Because most people never made it down to the bottom. It was just a pool of water, wasn't it?
Miles away from the ground as well, weren't you? Because they had the racetrack around the edge.
That's right. Yeah.
Greyhound track.
That's the sort of things you don't miss from football in the olden days. Yeah.
No, the toilet facilities have improved tenfold.
Yeah.
With the prawn sandwich brigade coming into the game, At least the toilets have been us pigs, Tottenham and football fans. We had to deal with any old kind of facilities before that, didn't we? Most memorable UK away day.
It'd have to be Anfield, I think. Anfield 85. That's the 1-0 win with Garth Brooks.
The Titanic game, the first time we'd won there since the Titanic.
That was a speech to biggest with that one,
Yeah. Have we won twice there since? There was a cup game, wasn't there, when Klinsmann scored, and then
Klinsmann in the cup,
Modric scored.
Modric,
we beat them 2-0, I think. Yeah, that was we were all over him that season.
Yeah.
Most memorable European away day.
I liked Frankfurt away. I can't think. Coddle scored the goal. I think we drew, but we went through. We lost 2-1. I'm trying to remember. I know we were losing and we were on our way out, and Hoddle scored a goal and we went through. I think we lost. I think it was 2-1, and we would have lost, but we got the away. It was the away goal again. I'd love to. It caught me off the beat there. I can't remember. That was it. It was a great day out. We were in with a massive coach trip on the ferry, Zeebrugge, and then it was like a 14-hour coach ride down to southern Germany. Oh, Jesus!
What was the lager like in Germany?
There was lots of it. Yeah. We went to Bayern as well, but the Frankfurt one was better. The Bayern one was rubbish because, number one, we were so far away. It was like, as you said, it was the old Olympic Stadium, the 1972 Olympics. Or was it 74 Olympics, 72, 74? And it was the Olympic Stadium, the old one. And it was foggy and we couldn't see. We were in the back of the stadium. We couldn't even see the nearest set of goalposts. And we followed to get matched by the electronic scoreboard. That's all you could see. You could only in the crowd because it was so foggy you couldn't even see. We could just about see Ray Clements when he went to pick the ball up when he went behind the goal, and it should have been replayed. It was just a total waste of time being there. Although the nightlife was good.
It sums up Spurs, doesn't it? Some of our best away days have actually been losses, like Inter Milan, Frankfurt, Man City. In the Champions League ran a few. But they're not even glorious wins, are they? They're glorious defeats.
I think in them days, we were doing so well in them days. We didn't mind losing here and there. This was the thing. It wasn't a desperate climb to. You'd won the 81. We'd lost the Milk Cup, and then we won the Cup, and then we were in. We were on a roll. It got worse. 5 or 6 years later, then we went on another bad run before we lost in 87 to Coventry in the Cup. That was a sad day. It's traumatized me still,
Yeah, but a little boy cried that day. I was crying my eyes out. Poor Gary Mabbott. Yeah.
But then we had we had a lot of bad results with the Arsenal one where they stuffed us on that third game. And
I remember that. That was my first year supporting Spurs. I was saying to my brother the other day, even my first year supporting Spurs, those dirty red C words fucked us up, didn't they? But what I always say to people, Kev, though, is at that time, 87, we were on a par with Arsenal. Our honours were kind of fairly even, with FA Cups and league titles and stuff. We were on a fairly even keel with them then. And since then, they sort of won a few
actually, no, they've been in the wilderness for quite a year at 87. They hadn't won anything since 79 when they won the FA Cup. They had a sort of 10-year spell of barrenness. They hadn't won anything.
Then George Graham won them a few things, didn't he? And then the Wenger years.
89, they won a double. 89, 91. They sort of had the hoodoo thing, and then they went on from there. We sort of went backwards. We went
one way, and they went the other, unfortunately. Yeah. But we were on a par in those days, with honours and stuff. Most importantly, last question: favourite match day Spurs pub?
Well, I haven't been for so long now. Where did I used to go? Used to go to the Northumberland, which was the Billy Nick. Yeah,
all right.
That was the one. That was the one I used to go to back in the days. That's talking back. Going back to the Everton game in '85, I was in there that night with some Everton fans, and it was those days where you could go to have a pint afterwards and you could chat about the game, So well done, lads. I think you've won the league now. It wasn't like let's have a fight and all this and all that. It was like they were like, "Are we safe in here to have a pint?" I said, "Yeah, it was only a few pints because it was 10 o'clock nearly, like the time we went in there." That was my sort of regular. I started off in a corner pin when I was just a kid, 16, but it was crowded and horrible and
really crowded in there.
Yeah, but we tried to
reopening it, aren't they?
Yeah,
they are. They're not.
Yeah,
they're going to turn it into some I don't know, the
bistro.
Brewery. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
posh bistro.
A lot of the times we used to drink in the pub in Dalston, which is probably about 5 or 6 miles away. It's quite a run, and it's a 15-20 minute drive, and we should meet there at 12 and leave about sort of 2 o'clock, even 2:30 we'd leave, belt it up there and get in the car park quickly and get in the ground. We might be 2 or 3 minutes late, but it didn't bother.
That's what we do now, Kev. We get up to London, we get a Marylebone, and they go to the sports bar there, so we get up into town, then we're like 20 minutes away on the underground, aren't we? So we get up there early doors. Gazza, where was that pub where you and Showbiz were in? You want to tell that story when you got locked in?
Is that the pleasure rooms?
Not the
Oh, yeah,
Sammy,
pleasure room.
not the Sammy Jessup story. The other one.
Yeah.
Well, if we get enough likes in the comment below, we'll get Gazza to tell the Sammy Jessup story as well.
That was the pleasure room we got locked into.
Oh, it was.
Yeah. So we
What
went
happened?
back in and watched. I know the Arsenal fans were being marched down the road by the old Bill, and everyone who was in the pleasure rooms obviously got word was going on, so they started launching whatever was in the pleasure rooms out onto the Arsenal fans. It kind of kicked off, so they locked us in, kind of herded us back in and locked us into the strippers. So
I think a mate of mine actually owned that. I think if that's the one I'm thinking of. Joey Wiz is a mate of mine. I think he owned that. He's well known. He's into all that rave stuff and all that. Your generation music, like, you know.
Yeah. I was thinking the other day, actually, how I feel quite bad for the new generation of Tottenham fans coming through, because they'll never get to experience the intensity and that atmosphere where you could cut it with a knife when the Arsenal and Chelsea or West Ham fans are going past that corner. Past the Bell and Hare, you know, when we also come out and give them a good welcome, you know, and the police would give them an escort. You could just feel the tension in the air, and the modern fans never going to get to experience that, are they? Because they've moved the away fans down the other end of the stadium, so they can ferry them in and out without having to confront us anymore. But that I used to love those games, just so you could go and give them a glare and throw coins.
Saber rattling.
I mean, I'm sure none of us have ever thrown coins at them, have we?
No.
No, definitely not. Right, that's the end of the quick fire round, which wasn't very quick and it wasn't very fire.
Sorry,
it?
I do go on. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
No, it's all good, mate. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good content. You know, we can edit that down and do a Q&A with Kevin and put it up on our channel. So now this takes us to questions for the panel. Spurs in the news.